You see, the least discussed and the least understood, but the least discussed is phase. It's phase that comes with speed of the mechanical components, even the shapes of the mechanical components, and once you get phasing right in a piece of music, lots of things just fall into place naturally. So the material that the turntable is made of, the mix of the material it's made of, some people says, and they're quite right I suppose, ours don't look the prettiest turntables you can buy on the market. But I've always said to people, don't try to play a brass violin, because it will not sound like a violin.
Might look shiny.
Yeah, exactly. It might look shiny, you give it a good polish every day, but it still will be sounding like a brass violin. So make a wooden one, that's a start. So yeah, phasing is not talked about too much, and it's one of the biggest contributors to good music, to reproduction of music anyway. And we're all astounded about the black vinyl, how speakers improve, and our cables and amplifiers and preamps, and but that black vinyl just keeps giving us more and more and more, and what a piece of kit. It's just an amazing procession. People says like what's your favourite pop song, or what's your favourite whatever. It's, well, everything was pop once, even Mozart, popular ones, but it never fails to amaze me that if you get the phasing right, tonal balance, and on the turntables, so everything's got the best chance, the preamp, the power amp, the speaker's got the best chance of speaking correctly to you. It never fails to amaze me how a gentleman in Japan can be listening to classical Japanese music exactly what he thinks is right, because we've listened here to probably an Haydn quartet and got that right. So in Japan, this Japanese gentleman, that I don't understand music at all, can listen to his music because we've got Haydn right. And it's just amazing that, you know, that it's just because our turntables do go around all around, still do go all around the world, and it's just an amazing thing where a guy out of Mongolia can still tonally, phasing and balance. If you get that right, he's right and we're right. You know.
Yeah.
The main thing is, you know, this sort of, if you get a really good hi-fi system, or illusion of music system, I don't like the word hi-fi anymore, it's completely misused. You can take a small group of acoustic players, and in real life they're over there playing, but you can have just a normal level of conversation, and you're not sort of, because there's no distortion. So in my experience, a good sort of illusion of music system is when you can have more or less a 7-piece jazz band playing at near live pressure levels, and you can have a conversation. But if you've got a 3 or 4 watt transistor radio on the shelf, and you've got that playing, you say, oh, just a minute, let me just switch this down. Because you can't talk over it. It's sort of it's distortion. And so it's a sign of a good system when you can play nearly realistic levels and still have a conversation at normal volume of voice. And you know you're getting there when that can happen.
I mean, again, back to sort of saying, engineering wise and what, I mean, I've always been particularly when you sort of look at any of the Nottingham Islands, all the new decks, and superficially, as you say, style wise, you're looking at a turntable.
Yes.
There's no brass violin.
No.
There's no gold. There's no onyx or any of that. But I mean, from 10, 12 years ago when I had the was it Hyperspace? I remember Hyperspace, wasn't it? The thing impressed me with the when you got under the surface with the levels of building, the quality of the bearings, the whole way the thing was been thought and put together. And what particularly kind of impressed me was the drive system, because so I mean I have a reputation for being a bit of a garage lover.
Yes.
And idler drive.
Don't we all? Yeah.
Yeah, and direct drive was sort of the routes, and I couldn't see how belt drive worked, but I don't know. It's never really had a name. Your drive system. I sort of think it's some kind of like an inertia drive system.
Yeah.
The nearest you get to it, because the motor only maintains that lost energy, that lost inertia.
Yeah. The best turntable, obviously, will have no motor, but unfortunately, on this planet, we're going to have to put some energy in, and the least possible. And so that's why if you press a switch on the turntable and it starts and it don't reduce its power when it's going, then really it's not going to do its job, because it's putting a great mass of energy and resonances in, and we don't want that at all. There is one thing all my turntables have done, and how they've been engineered in, is to play silence, and you put the music on, and of course in some ways music is about silence, and it's about the dynamic range. You get all bands, or good bands, whether it's pop or whatever, or good conductors, some of the best conductors in the world. It's not as though how loud and dynamic they can make the orchestra go, it's how low a floor level they can go down to. Then they've got the power to go up. So our turntables gives you the ability to get the dynamics out of the black disc into the living room. Everything is moving relative to what we think standing still. To an ARM cartridge turntable, it's like sitting on top of a volcano, and you're expecting these components to actually give you an illusion of music when you're not giving them a chance. So, and it's a bit like arms, tone arms. People says, oh, this arm works better on that turntable. And of course, they can prove that it does. Mainly, though, it's only because the damping of the arm is slightly better, and it's not being so damaged by the resonances of the turntable or whatever you've got it on and whatever. So in other words, I try to make this platform of stillness and the node of stillnesses on the bearings and the tone arm mountings, that it can do this given half a chance. So we're actually got more chance to play the illusion of music.